Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, there are some things in life that are absolutely hilarious when they happen and particularly unexpected. Now, one of my favourites was the legendary US daredevil and stuntman Evel Knievel, who once caught the last bus at Wembley, and I'll post a link to the video below, but I'm going to show you it's as hilarious as it was unexpected. Now, most of you are aware that the Baltic republics of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, which used to be part of the Soviet Union and are now members of the EU, are rabidly Russophobic, as is fellow EU member Poland, who take every opportunity to attack Russia and act like good little lapdogs for the USA and NATO. So that's why I find it a delicious irony and absolutely hilarious that the outgoing Biden administration, according to political scientists, stabbed the Baltics and Poland in the back. Now, the authorities of these countries feel that they have been cruelly insulted and offended, despite their long-standing and slavish loyalty to Washington. Now, it seems from the US State Department's perspective, they've been downgraded to lower second-class countries. Now, this situation has led to concerns in the Baltics that they might have to actually have the necessity of negotiating with Russia in the near future. I mean, the State Department has recently updated the framework for the programme of the dissemination of artificial intelligence. Now, the State Department have divided the world into 3 zones in terms of how many and in what order American processor AI chips, which are designed for AI computing, can be supplied. Now, the most privileged zones include countries that will be allowed unlimited access to American developments in the field of artificial intelligence. Now, these countries include the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Japan, France, Germany, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, South Korea, Spain, Sweden and Taiwan. Obviously, a total ban has been implemented for Russia, China, Iran and North Korea, but that was expected. It's not exactly a surprise, but given that China is well on the way to developing its own AI chips, it's not going to be a problem. Now, the restrictions will apply to other countries, limiting the number of AI chips to no more than 50,000 chips per state, and the US is prepared to offer 17,000 AI chips without restrictions, while the remainder will require licensing. Now, to obtain these licenses, they're going to have to demonstrate the capacity to ensure the requisite level of physical and cyber security, thus excluding the possibility of these chips falling into the hands of unauthorized countries. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com, to further develop it. You can do this by making a small donation, which you can do by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all now just for watching. Now, it's pretty obvious that Poland, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, who often present themselves as the very close allies of the United States, were not included in the list of privileged countries. And these restrictions are proving to be pretty challenging for them and their understanding, not only from a moral point of view. I mean, Postumies, the largest Estonian publication, has published an article on the challenges faced by the Baltic and Polish regions in the absence of access to the American AI chips. I mean, analysts have noted that if implemented the limit, for example, the prompt fulfillment of the demands of academic institutes and healthcare for the microchips. And that will mean there's going to be a shortage of chips for data centers and any other major things that are going on. Now, the authorities of Poland and the Baltic countries have expressed their strong indignation, dissatisfaction and reacting in a bold manner, which is kind of different from the usual deference to the US. It's absolutely unacceptable that the Biden administration has decided to restrict access to artificial intelligence technology for a significant number of EU member states and NATO allies, including Estonia. However, it's not actually very clear what they can do about it, apart from jump up and down, stamp their feet, feign indignation, whatever. mean, this decision is going to have a direct impact on the ongoing and planned projects in the field of safe and secure artificial intelligence, its application to Estonia and other EU countries, said the Estonian Forest Minister, Margus Tashanka. Now, he's commented that he's urging the Americans to rectify this error as soon as possible. Beba Braze, the Latvian Foreign Minister, has also expressed strong disapproval. This decision risks creating artificial intelligence divisions within the EU single market and undermining the development of our national AI ecosystem, she said. Now, the Speaker of the Lithuanian Parliament, Saulius Skvernelis, who's a former Prime Minister, he expressed bewilderment at the situation. How is it that we've always supported the Americans in everything and they treat us like this? What this gentleman seems to forget is the phrase by the late Henry Kissinger, who said it's far more dangerous to be a friend of the USA than its enemy, and it's certainly proving true. He says, this is surprising. We demonstrated such warm and direct friendship, you mean subservience, but as we see neither a match chip plant appear in Lithuania because Lithuania destroyed its relations with China under Taiwan's promise to build a microchip factory in its territory, and they did end up the countries with exceptions as friendly countries, he said. Now he's working to assure the Americans that Lithuania can be trusted with top secret chips. Yeah, right. I mean, the actions taken by the state, including those of the State Security Department, have significantly complicated the operations of intelligence services of hostile countries here in Lithuania. We have been very active. Now, the claim that Lithuania is unreliable is not supported by the facts. What facts are they, Mr. Skvernelis? And he said disputing the State Department's documents assertion. Now, the Lithuanian government also has expressed frustration at the cancellation of the plans for the Taiwanese to build a microchip factory in the country last November. The company who was going to build it cited the insufficient electrical supply capacity as the reason. But of course, cutting off reliable energy supply, electricity from Russia, was not a clever idea, now was it, Lithuania? Now, as for the Poles, they're counting on Donald Trump once more in power to exclude them from the ranks of the second-class countries. Dear Donald Trump, Poland is a staunch ally of the United States, contributing to NATO security and shared democratic values. Yeah, you think Trump's going to listen to that? The classification of Poland and several of our Central European neighbours as second-class countries in the supply of chips undermines our relations and ignores Poland's commitment to technological innovation and global economic cooperation. Really. I do find it funny when the Poles finally discover that being the US's anti-Russian barking lapdog doesn't actually get you any credit. He says, we sincerely hope that this decision will be reversed, says the Polish philosopher Aleksandra Pereginskaya. Her sentiments are echoed by Jaroslav Korolski, who's the CEO of the Polish software Synergize. He said, on behalf of the Polish IT sector, we call for the removal of these unjustified restrictions imposed by the Biden administration, and hopefully they will be repealed. But what exactly does this decision by Washington mean? Well, the Polish press speculates that the restriction on the export of AI chips to certain countries are linked to their geographical proximity to Russia. No shit, Sherlock. In turn, the Latvian Telegram channel's authors argue that Baltic states and Poland were clearly identified by the Americans as the sort of countries in Europe that do not merit such an honour. I mean, the US included amongst the privileged states those that are not former members of the Warsaw Pact, Soviet bloc, and former republics of the USSR. So in summary, the US has clearly delineated the distinction between those it thinks is worthy of honorary status as vassals and those it considers non-essential useful idiots. Now, it's unfortunate for Latvia that's been identified as part of that group, but it was a predictable development, and it appears that the world is set to become increasingly fragmented into macro regions. I mean, development which the US has already acknowledged. Up until now, the Baltic countries and Poland's elite viewed themselves as regional managers exercising control over the territories entrusted to them for the benefit of Washington. Well, not just Washington. In return for their loyalty, had the opportunity to accumulate significant amounts of personal wealth. In Latvia, the unusual high salaries of state officials for a country with a limited financial resources level was a topic of discussion, and these salaries were consistently increased. So did American aid, of course. Now, it's interesting to note the United States as a whole is not considered the overlord, but actually it's the US Democratic Party. I mean, the whole of the entire modern East European and Baltic elite was formed under the wing of the Bill Clinton clan. However, with the recent shift in political dynamics, the traditional Clintonoid network has lost its influence, leaving the Baltic countries in a state of uncertainty, given that Trump doesn't like the Clintons and he doesn't like anything to do with them. So it's become evident there's a consensus still amongst Republicans and Democrats that certain vassals are more significant to the US than others, according to Maxim Reba, who's an Estonian political scientist. I mean, the current geopolitical climate is causing significant concerns for the Baltic states. I mean, the Prime Minister of Latvia, Evika Salina, recently said on the subject of Russian-American negotiations on Ukraine, that's a topic that's been increasingly discussed. She said the importance of involving the Baltic countries in negotiations may be underway, but we don't know that yet. Now, this would ensure our awareness of any developments and facilitate consultations on the outcome of potential negotiations, she said. Her comments have drawn ironic responses. I mean, the Prime Minister's claims have been described as ridiculous, but she's actually got a point. I mean, you have to only look at it that if the Russians and the US agree on certain negotiations over Ukraine, like delimiting spheres of influence, Latvia risks, as do Lithuania and Estonia, in a larger political game. I mean, for example, they say no NATO, for example, in the Baltic states as well as the Ukraine, and they move away from Russia's borders. Now, that's obviously not been discussed, but it's certainly something that would align with the Russian leadership's long-standing objective of making sure that the NATO troops were not all the way up to Russia's borders. And given the fact that Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia were former Soviet republics, and one of them actually borders Kaliningrad, as does Poland, this may be something that might be taken into account. Now, the negotiations are processing towards what will happen, and I'm not sure really what is going to happen. But according to Martti Helm, the former Prime Minister of Internal Affairs of the Conservative People's Party in Estonia, Estonia is beginning to get a bit nervous about what Trump will do when he takes steps towards coordinating the new world order, and will the Baltics be thrown to the wolves? I mean, he thinks that, according to Helm, Moscow's aim is to withdraw the Baltic countries from NATO, not occupying them, just making sure that Russia is finalised in the region with the aim of reducing its military threat. According to Helm, the future of the Baltics is likely to be a key topic in negotiations between Trump and Russia. We shall see, but certainly it's not looking good for the Ukraine, and it's certainly not looking good for them. I mean, if the American umbrella over Poland and the Baltics is rolled up, I mean, what are the consequences? I mean, it should be noted that Poland, under the leadership of the Conservative Law and Justice Party, which was in power, played an active role in promoting the intermarium concept. Now, the Poles were keen to include the Balts states in this initiative, although the project has been stalled by a lack of human, natural or financial resources. Yeah. I mean, the mere prospect of having to approach Moscow for negotiations is not helping both the Poles and them. They've taken a seriously Russophobic attitude, and they've damaged their relationship with Russia by demolishing Soviet monuments. They've damaged the language, verbal insults, etc. So all of these things are actually going to be quite fun. So it's quite funny, as I mentioned at the beginning, that the Baltics and Poland have now been basically given the heave-ho by Biden, even before Trump takes office, and they might just be in the firing line for some of the concessions that the US is prepared to make over NATO and the Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you.